budget shall go into effect. So
That's exactly right, Georgia. Do you understand what you just read?
yes,
Okay,
these were established.
That's exactly right. We all completely agree with that.
Okay, well then why are you
But it
changing?
has nothing to do with the actual dollar amount added each year. That has to do with establishing a reserve. We need to establish a reserve for pavement. Okay, you cannot once we decide we want a pavement reserve, you cannot not have a pavement reserve. We all agree with it, that's what the statute says. The amount of the pavement reserve is not stated there.
Read it again.
Jay, will you read?
And if I might, that's exactly the reason.
Flexibility of understanding what words mean.
Well, let somebody else read it. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the reserve was established for a reason. That particular money
Is it
amount was a
reasonable to say
projection.
something
That it
done in
was a projection to
1997 is still
protect
right
us
today?
from having.
One at a time, please. 90 man, one at a time.
Is it
Whoever had the
reasonable
floor.
to say something done in 1997
Point of
is
order,
right
point
today?
of order. Anyone talking should address the table, don't address each other, no arguments, please.
It's not a formal meeting, it's a workshop.
Go ahead, do what you want to do.
I will.
Start fighting if you
Then
want.
we'll walk out.
Start fighting if you want. That's what you're looking for.
I want to reiterate what she read, because I disagree with what George said. It says, once a reserve or reserve accounts are established, the membership of the association, upon a majority vote of the vote, may provide for no reserves, less reserves than those required.
Then those required. Now, what's required? No, we're just reading the words. What's required?
Let him speak first.
We don't know what is required.
It's what
by
the estimates
We
are.
have five
That
estimates.
is only if you complete the roads this year.
Yeah.
Those quotes are not good
Right.
for 2 years from now, and that's the point of why. If you think there's too much money, then get everybody in the association, cut them down.
But that's not what the law says. The law says what's
Yeah, it is, it's
required.
right there, George.
We're
That's
not
what he
debiting the
said.
balance. We're not debiting the balance.
If you want to reduce it, you have to get a vote.
But we're
of
not
members.
reducing it. We're reducing future funding.
You're reducing this year's funding and this
Yeah.
year's
It's
budget.
changing the budget.
Yeah, but that's not reducing the balance.
Well, it's up to these people to
Well,
decide how you want to
it is.
address it.
Oh, my God.
Yes, it is.
It's not reducing the balance. It's reducing the funding for the future payments into it. And we could fund it
Leave it as is.
more or less.
Not heavy argument.
Can I say something? Does
It
it make
could be funded
sense?
for more. If
Does it
somebody
make
decided,
sense
if
to
the board
reduce the
decides,
cost
it's
of
the
more?
same.
If I said
This
one at a
reserve is way
time?
short.
Yeah,
It isn't gonna cost $200,000.
Perhaps you better get a legal,
No, we're not spending legal,
You
we're in a
could
workshop.
make a change and fund it by more.
well, then we'll talk that way.
Yeah, that's
And
his
you have to
opinion.
George, what were the
That's his opinion.
What were the
let him
three
have it.
line items again?
sorry.
What were the three line items again?
Oh, actually, this is right off of Marlene's website, so.
The three that you added?
Oh,
Oh,
I thought you
Line
wanted
items
this.
that you wanted to add.
The contingency fund, there should be more money put in the contingency fund. There should be money in a line item to take care of the sidewalks. Now, some sidewalks and a line item I put in should be, if the documents get passed, there should be a line item in there so nobody's squawking that it's being taken out of the legal.
Okay, we haven't come up with any amounts yet, it's just.
No.
Okay.
Those are the line items.
Right here, in number 6, under budget, on the state law, it says the formula may be adjusted each year for changes in estimates and deferred maintenance performed during the year and may include factors such as inflation and earnings on invested funds.
Okay, keep going.
That's the paragraph right there,
Or where did you find that?
right here.
And-
6G-A. Or
Well, this is 720, Florida
Well,
statute.
you have to keep reading.
Well, I did. That's comes down to F.
This is a note that I emailed to Lars.
No, it isn't. This came out, you sent this out, comes off of your thing in February.
Let me see.
Therefore, please.
It's not the
respect-
entire
No,
statute because it goes from B to D to F.
It doesn't make any difference, Marlene. You pulled this section up because you, at the time, were complaining that somebody touched the reserve funds, put it in the contingency, or whatever. No reserves have ever been touched unless that.
Georgia, That's a different issue. That was when you and Paul Carr reduced the funding and diverted it to the operating budget, and you didn't base it on fact. We have 5 estimates based on fact that legally
You know what,
reduced
Marlene,
the...
I'm not gonna get in the hiss and match with you, because you read what you wanna read, you put it to what you wanna do. So, you know what, it doesn't make any difference what I say.
The issue...
Mr. Helm, excuse me, Mr. Helm, can you shed some light on this? When you had that street done, what did you go through? Did you feel like we needed to add a certain amount each year?
It was I think it was, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, we got 3 bids, proposals as to what it would cost to do the entire subdivision in 4 phases, but the 4 phases would be accomplished in continuity, 1, 2, 3, 4. They would be completed within probably a 2-month period. But what we did, they gave us a program as to what a proposal as to what it was going to cost, and then that was when oil was very inexpensive. But at that time, you said figure on increasing each year 8% onto the price. Say it was $150,000. The following year, you'd have to add 8% of that 150, and that was projected until such time the work was completed. That's only if oil was constant. The price of oil is fluctuates tremendously, and it was that simple. I'm sure, Marlene, when you had your prices, they told you what to anticipate the cost of labor and material the following year. It was 8% at the time when I got the 3 proposals together.
Is that a reasonable amount now?
The price of oil has gone up, what, $17 a barrel, something like that. It fluctuates tremendously.
Would you recommend that we keep our reserves the way they are, keep escalating the way we have it in the budget today?
Payment reserve, I would, quite honestly, if you get proposals
Would you,
today.
wait a minute. Would you please listen? This is important. Go ahead.
Proposals that you got, I don't know what we have in the reserve now. I heard a figure of $200,000. That's
I
amazing.
think the highest one was 165.
How much is it?
165.
Should we do it all right now? Should the streets be completed?
I personally think they should be. It's easier to maintain streets. If you let your streets deteriorate to the point where it's going to cost you more to repair them.
Do we have enough money to do them right now?
Yes.
We could do
But the
most of
question
that.
is, no, the point is, you don't need to do them all, like you said.
Well, he said they were 2 years ago, we should do them all now.
I'm talking.
George.
If
Mr. Helm?
we did one now, section already, then we were gonna do 3 more sections as planned. We don't need to do them all in 2010.
What did they recommend?
And our proposal, the one I turned in, is in 3 sections over the next year or 2, right? Is that how yours was, I think?
Did they recommend that we do it all at once or just in sections?
How was yours?
We have 4 phases in Middlebrook. We're going to do phase 1, phase 2, so phase 4, which phase 4 is the newest addition to Middlebrook.
The biggest addition.
It's also the biggest.
How was yours,
And
Marlene?
we're going to break it down, so we weren't going to type the entire neighborhood. You can't go and say, I'm going to do all of Old Middlebrook Circle, because that would type an entire community. We broke it down into phases, phase 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Consecutively. It was we weren't going to do one in 2000, one in 2001, and so on. We're going to do it consecutively. That year, it was going to take about 2 months to complete the project. The thing, and one of the reasons he mentioned that that's the way to do it is simply because of the traffic, the truck traffic that comes in, bringing the asphalt, the heavy equipment. Those roads that you repaired, if you wait a year, you're bringing all this asphalt, it's just going to re-damage that, and it's going to look pretty bad.
We had very little requests or comments about repair. Very little. The biggest repair, Bill and I have discussed this, is the puddles coming out of from the west side where that poor neighbor or landowner, his water doesn't drain past his driveway.
Are you talking of phase 4 then?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, there's an Apex South Water Management.
We know a way to take care of that, at least Bill and I have, President and I talked about it, and we know how we can get that fixed.
That's the big, we had a meeting with South Florida Water Management 4 years ago, and that was one of the points they brought up, that road is not pitched properly going towards the entrance, and that has to be ground down and then replenished. You can't build the road further west up much more with grade than it is presently. you've got to concentrate on cutting down that high spot, just prior to the entrance. And they suggested that by